So welcome to Olivier Assoa, director of The Eagle's Nest. He's here today to answer a few questions regarding the film. Olivier, welcome. And
thank you for having me.
why let's start from the beginning and let's go to the idea and how you decided to make this film and how the idea came about.
I will start with the beginning. I always wanted to make a movie. That's why I went to a film school. But after graduation, it's really hard to make a movie because then you realize it's not that simple. You need money, you need a team, you need a lot of things, you need ideas, you need a script. So then I started a career, but back in 2017-18, we had a lot of issues. I mean, the migrant crisis was the issue mostly in Europe. And then I was really aware that a lot of people was dying. And then I really wanted to do something about it. And then what really compelled me to do it because I have a close family member that decided to leave Cameroon and take the journey through Libya and then through North Africa and then through the Mediterranean Sea to Italy. And then I say to myself, okay, what can I do? What can I do to help? How can I encourage young people to use their talent in Africa? How can I bring a new light to the story? Why is that nobody does so much for those young people? Is it that the story hasn't been told properly? So I had a lot of questions that I asked myself, and then I said, okay, let me go through the journey of understanding what's going on, and then see how I can also contribute to the conversation of how can we make sure the issues find a kind of solutions, because bringing people in Europe or allowing people come to Europe and then we give them a new beginning, that doesn't stop, because the flow of people coming will come because the root of the issue hasn't been looked at. So I was trying to look at the root of the issue and trying to also help all these young people there that don't have the healthcare that I'm enjoying here, the opportunity that I have here, they don't have that. So I wanted to say, okay, what can I then bring to them? So that's how the idea came about. And then the story, it's just a new different thing. When I decided to make the movie, I needed a story. So I've made a lot of research. There was a CNN documentary of young Africans being as slaves in Libya. They were auctioned by the Libyans to work in farms. And some young girls have reported story of them being used as sex slaves. I mean, they were raped again and again and again by both the Libyan and also the African that are part of the trade. So I needed to find a way, how can I tell the story so people can look at it and see it from a different angle, because there are a lot of story told about immigration. I just want it to be different. This is a movie, this is not a documentary. So I have to be honest to the story I try to tell, also try to make it a movie, meaning that I have to tell a journey that will then grab the audience towards the journey and entertain them. That's how the world started. That's how the idea came about.
And you also did a bit of a miracle, like many of your colleagues, because you only had 5,000K.
Yes.
Sorry, 5,000 pounds. And how did you make it work? Like, okay. It's a very tiny budget.
I think you learn a lot for people who have done the movie. Like I say, I've done a lot of research on how Christopher Nolan did the followings. I've done a lot of research how the low budget movie were made. So I said to myself, how can you tell a story? Then we start with, okay, you have to reduce number of characters. That's important. Otherwise you won't extend them. You nearly tell a story. You have to tell a story that will then grab the audience and make the audience part of the story. See, if the audience become the character, meaning that you give them a choice, you use the stereotypes on the idea of immigration, the perception of Africa. So you allow them to then conflict with what they believe. So that will be the tool I will have to tell a story on a low budget. And then on the practicality of it. So what I did is I used my saving for a start. That was the money I put aside for the past years. And because I have some little gigs, like I have a drone, I have a camera, I have some lenses that I own to do some work aside, so I don't need to budget that. So I budgeted a flight ticket to Cameroon, and then the rest was, how do I make the £4,000 left work. So what I did is that I create a community around the project. So because I had almost 3 months in Africa, so I needed to create a community of people that can contribute. So I approach graduates that don't have work. So my engineers, so I will bring them in as to work as gaffer. So they will learn the trade with the director of photography. He will teach them how that work. And therefore he will just assign tasks to them. So that will make his life easy. So if he needs something he doesn't have to run, he will be done by somebody who understands how to wire electricity. So I also had somebody to, because I had an apartment that I rented. So we use the apartment for different location. Everything happened in one place, although it looks different, but everything happened in one place. The same house, the different rooms, everything happened in one place. So it was my set. So I used some graduate student to build the set, to paint it, and also to make sure it looks like the wall I was trying to portray, because the wall I was trying to portray was so rough. They don't have to be fine in the edges. They need to be rough in the edges. They need to look exactly as what we were trying to do. And then because I have that community of people, they were really enthusiastic to be part of the project. So all I needed to do was to feed them. I didn't have to pay them. They would come to work every day. That's how they call it work. They wanted to be part of the project. They wanted to be something bigger than themselves. So they've never done a movie. They've seen a movie. They were really, really keen on doing it, hoping they can repeat the experience, hoping that because they don't have a job, they might find, that was my wish, that because they can't get a job, they might find passion for it. And maybe I can, because I still talk to them and still, when they tell me, Oliver, I'm doing that, I'm still trying to be the mentor I was on set. So try to encourage them to do something. It's not easy for me here, it's not easy for anybody anywhere, but what people, we have, at least we have the opportunity, like the platform I have here, they won't have that platform over there. So I'm using the platform you are offering me to be able to allow them to show, to see them, to believe in themselves, to realize that they have potential. So that's how I've managed to cut on the budget. And then most of the money went to pay the food and pay people. I mean, the cast and the crew, they don't cost a lot in Cameroon because they don't have that much work. So I was able to give them here's a decent amount of money. I was about to pay like minimum wages for the work they were doing.
And let's talk about the cast, actually, because it's a very interesting cast and very talented. How did you cast them? The two main actresses, and the other characters.
Okay, because I haven't been to Cameroon before that for almost 20 years. So what I did is I worked with my little sister. So I wanted her to learn how to make movies. She graduated, she can get a job. And I said, okay, work with me here. So I teach you what I know. So she was the one who collected all the information I used to write the script. So all the girls that went through Libya and came out with children and were able to tell her how they got these babies. And now they have to live their life with a baby that they didn't want, I didn't wish to have, because they were raped and then they got pregnant and they returned home and they have to find a way to start again. And they have this idea of, if you have traveled for Europe and then you failed and you return back home, your family doesn't see you the same way. So not only you have to go and to collect all the pieces of your past to try to recreate your present and think about tomorrow, but you still have that pressure that you have cost your family a great deal of money. So therefore, so this is, I'm just going to jump quickly. I know people think the movie is really violent. I would have loved it to be less violent, but I was trying to be honest with what was reported to me and how I can tell what is the reality. So let's go back to the casting. So I then tasked Adeline to do the casting. I show her how casting works. She's done the casting. She sent me videos. My friend here, that's Nando, Linda, Martin, they're German and Hungary. These are people I went to the university with. So we went through the videos because when I wrote the script, they were giving me feedbacks. These are people that are not African, they're white people, they live in the UK. So one lives in Germany, he's a director at Arte. So we exchange ideas. So I will send him the script, he's going to send me feedback. That's how I didn't just decide to write a story out of me. I wanted all the people input into how I can develop the characters. So anyway, we look at the videos, and then in the videos I had an idea. I really wanted Felicity for the role of the antagonist, because I realized that I can work with her. She was flexible. She's really curious. She's done things that no one else sent me. People send me pictures and they look nice on the pictures, a nice CV, but I couldn't get anything. So I needed to see something because I don't know them. And
Yeah.
then when I went to Cameroon, we shortlisted it to a few group. So I had 3 months. So for the first month, I had a lot of workshops. And during the workshop, that's how I was able to select the people I thought would be good for the role, who understood exactly what was going on.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry. This is great because they've done an amazing job. And also, I find that a note on the costumes. I think, you know, it reminded me of Black Panther because it's this idea of finding a costume that looks it's very original first of all, but then also that it looks very African and rooted in a culture. So it's the expression of a very specific culture. I don't know if did you work on that?
Okay, because I needed to create a from the gate from the moment I present introduce a character to the audience, I needed to create the difference between the protagonist and the antagonist. In my idea of the young African today, they consume the media the same way we consume here. They're very aware of what's happening. They understand the show that works, the show that doesn't work. They try to replicate the same thing. So the Paris, that's why her name is Paris in the first place. So by her name, you will give the audience that, okay, it already says everything about her, what she wants to do. You already know this is going to be her goal, and you already know this is what she is. She's resilient. She's different. She's a kind of a pop goat African person, and then even the color of the hair that was done on purpose, meaning that any audience everywhere in the world can relate to her, despite the fact the movie is made in Africa. So, and then the character of Samantha, I needed somebody that would be African. She will represent Africa. She will represent what it is to be Black today for some Africa. What does it mean? The way you talk, the way you represent yourself, the views or the ideas you have. So that's the reason why I needed to marry the Afro with the costume that also will be something that is in not only Africa. If you look at it, it looks like something that can be also global. So I know, but I need to represent what it is, how the young Africans today see or interpret what globalization is. So that's why I'll try to bring costumes and design that will look not only that won't follow the cliche, but that will be unique in a sense. Hopefully I achieve it. I don't know.
You absolutely did a great job because they're quite stunning. And there's this line where they exchange their ideal beauty and Samantha says, I'm more like Lupita Nyong'o.
Nyong'o, yeah.
Yes, that's the style that she's adopted.
Yeah, because in France today,
the natural look.
Exactly.
Yes.
In France today, there's that expression that we call what we call the way a Black person perceives himself today is because unfortunately the race has become the big topic, and the issue of the political it's been a political identification. And then I wanted the character to go through that as well, so people know what is a bounty. For example, if you live in places like French, when I say the movie is in French, I know I live in the UK, and then it's mostly the UK audience who's going to watch the movie today. But it's not only for the people in France, it's for everybody that is Black. How do you identify what we call your Blackness into this world? So I wanted that debate to be part of the movie, because that also will create, because I know it's a movie, I know their character is supposed to be a fiction, but they are real people that have real debate about what actually affects them. And despite that difference, they are still friends, meaning that we cannot agree on everything, but we can still be civilized and very polite about it.
Listen, you've done a great job with this film, but I was wondering, it's your first feature film, and obviously you have a very strong personality in the film. Like it clearly is like all of your making. But I was wondering if there's any filmmaker that has worked as a reference for you throughout the making of this one, of your film?
Yeah, I think I've used what I've learned in film schools. You know, I've used what
You
I've
can
learned. I've
get that.
also,
It's very personal. It's very original.
yeah, exactly. Remember, I have been lucky to have a lot of culture that I've been through my upbringings to where I am today. I've been in different places, and that's a good thing when you travel the world, you meet people, you discover a lot of different culture, and that creates, you borrow a lot from a little but from everybody to create the person you are today. And that can be reflected in my work. So I wanted to, like I say, I've learned from, in the terms of the structure of the movie, I've learned a lot from how Stephen Nolan wrote Followings. So I wanted to create three narratives. You have a narrative that events are happening in the past, and you have a narrative that events are currently happening. And I wanted a third narrative that would be about the character behaviors. And this is where I wanted the audience to be involved. When exactly are the characters are telling the truth? When they have the back against the wall, they lie. Will the audience perceive it as a lie? I create a little lie in the beginning. Every time the characters have their back against the wall, they always say, "Oh, it's not their fault. This person that came and then I spoke to them, and they are the person who made me do that." They are looking for an excuse to justify what they did, like we all do as humans. So by bringing that narrative, and towards the end, I even make the main character believe in that little lie. So I wanted just the audience just to go through that. I understand that, you know, these people are just like us. I know it's a very, very difficult subject to talk about. I know we take a lot of stakes because I put it this way. It will be a lot of stereotypes coming up saying that, but it was important that we find a different approach to a problem. I'm not saying the best approach, but I needed to talk about, as a Black man, how can I present, as a Black man, as an immigrant, how can I present stories of immigrants from Africa so that people can see it from a different angle. That won't be something we see on the news every day, but that will be something that they will then go back and make and try to join me into trying to find a solution to the issues, because that was the purpose of the movie. How can we contribute towards talking about this? I know it's really violent, so don't get me wrong. I know. So I have a friend. I already have feedback. People couldn't
It's a
finish the movie.
necessary violence. It's important because you need to get the message across through that violence. So it does do the job.
Yeah.
But were you inspired
Yeah,
by
exactly.
any?
I got to the off. So I was inspired by Tarantino. I've used a lot because of the way he makes movie.
Obviously, I thought
Yeah,
so.
obviously, even the music, even the choice of music using pop
Yes.
rock. I'm just saying, no, really, I wish you watch this movie, but I've learned a lot from how he started this movie. And then in terms of resolutions of how you resolve an issue, I think I've learned a bit from the Coen brothers. So I've learned a bit about how you can exchange places with the characters at the moment after the climax. I've learned it a lot from the Coen brothers. That's the thing I brought from them. But in terms of the visual and the application of what I was trying to do, yeah, I think it's a lot of Tarantino's movie.
A lot of Tarantino. Yeah.
I know. I even remember the guy with the gag. I said to myself, okay, when I was writing the script, I say, all right, now that the Paris, the main character has managed to take the first lieutenant of the baddies. So how am I going to bring that back to the audience? I have that little dance, saying that I also seen how he's doing it, Tarantino Aborate. After dancing, how we bring back the character. And then also it was important to understand the movie is told through the mind of Paris. So once you understand her, everything else start making sense.
Great. But thank you so much for submitting, because that was really a gem for us. One last question. What's next in your pipeline?
Right now,
why are we gonna keep you in the radar for?
Okay, I'm definitely going to try to come back next year. I'm currently, hopefully maybe the year after next, I'm currently working on the next project. It's not really different from this one. I say to myself, okay, why if I could take the audience back to Africa in the 19th century? It's nothing there. The story we have, it was written by the European about what they've seen, but we don't know the story of people that they were writing about. What about I try to imagine how people will feel at the time and how I can take a story out of during that period. I'm trying to put it the same way I did with this current story. That is what I'm currently working on. I'm doing it's a lot of research, but I think it will be fun because I can create a world that's totally imaginary, and that gives me the real power to really show that really I can really do something great here.
So a road movie in a way.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes,
in a way.
we will look up for that.
Thank you.
And thank you so much, because I think the world deserves people like you that are really working to present their own culture in a different way. And in doing so, they produce such an original work that it really deserves to be watched. So thank you so much for being
Thank
with
you so
us.
much for the platform.
And I hope many people will watch your film, and when many people will watch your next film when you submit to Raindance. Thank you,
Thank you so
Pierre,
much. I
and good
will.
luck with everything.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on the floor. Thank you for the platform. Thank you.